Hey everyone, welcome to Data Millennials. I'm Atul, and in this video we are going to discuss about decision making in Python. So in all our previous videos, whatever program we had written till now is in a linear sequence. For example, we had written a statement after a statement, and until the last statement is executed, then the program will get terminated. But these linear program can solve limited problems. In this video, we are going to get introduced with the construct that allows program statements to be executed under certain condition, which depends on the context of a program execution. In any programming language, the decision making is anticipation of conditions occurring while execution of the program and specifying action taken according to the condition. So basically, the decision structure evaluates multiple expressions which produce true or false as outcome, and we need to determine which action to take and which statement to execute if the outcome is true or false. So decision making is the most important aspect of almost all the programming language. As the name implies, decision making allows us to run a particular block of code for a particular decision, and here the decisions are made on the validity of the particular condition, and the condition checking is the backbone of any decision making. Python programming language provides four different type of decision making statement. The first is the if statement, second is if else statement, third is nested if statements, and fourth is if-elif-else statement ladder. Okay, so in this video we are going to discuss about the if statement in detail. So if I run this cell, so this cell consists of the picture that has flowchart of if statement. So we are going to discuss about the if statement in more detail, and we are going to understand this flowchart first. But before that, let's define the if statement in a very simple word. So what is a if statement? The simple if statement is similar to that of other programming language. The if statement consists of a logical expression. Over here, this condition is the logical expression using which the data is compared and a decision is made based on the result of the comparison. Okay, so if you compare anything, you would have two output. Either your comparison fulfills or it doesn't fulfill your hypothesis. Okay, and suppose if the if statement condition or if statement expression evaluates to be true, then the block of statement inside the if statement will be executed. So if the condition is true, then whatever code present in the if statement body will get executed. And if the if statement evaluates to be false, then the first set of code after the end of if statement will be executed. So if your condition doesn't fulfill, then what will happen? The entire code which is present in the if statement body will get ignored, and whatever code that is present after the if statement will get executed. Okay, so the if statement is used to test a particular condition, and if the condition is true, it executes the block of code known as if block. The condition of if statement can be of any valid expression which can be either evaluated to be true or false. So let's talk about the syntax of if expression, okay, or if statement. So the syntax is something like this, that you will put if and then you will put an expression, and this expression will contain the condition, and then you have to give the statements that you want to execute. Okay, the if statement evaluates condition, and if the condition is true, then it will execute these statements, and if the statement is false, then it will execute anything which is outside the if expression. So let's say if I'm putting print something over here, then if the condition is false, then this print will get executed, and if the condition fulfills, then whatever statement that I have given in this if expression body will get executed. Okay, so let's take a simple example to check how we can use the if statement. Okay, let's assume a scenario that you have to get a number from a user, and you have to check whether the number given by user is even or not. Okay, so in order to take the number from user, we have to use the input function. So I'm going to declare a variable input number in which I am going to take input from user saying that please enter the number. Okay, and as we know that input usually takes whatever the user gives and it will basically change it into a string. So in order to check whether a number is even or not, we have to change it into int. So we'll use the int function first before this input function, and then we'll use the if clause to check, or if statement to check whether the number provided by the user is actually even or not. So to do that, we'll simply write if and then we'll put the input number, and then we'll use this percentage sign which gives us the remainder. And we know that if a number is even and if we divide it by 2, we would be getting 0 as a remainder. Okay, so this is the condition that we are checking, saying that if input number remainder is equal to 0, then simply print that input underscore number is a even number. Okay, now let's run this. So the first thing after running, Python is asking me to enter the number. So I'm putting 24. Let's press enter again, and we are getting the output saying that 24 is a even number. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's, in the next cell, let's put 24 percentage 2, which is modulus. Okay, and let's run this. So the output that we are getting is 0. And if we check this condition saying that check the remainder, whether remainder is 0 or not, and over here we did it manually, 24 modulus 2, we are getting 0. So this 0 is equal to this 0. That's why this printing statement get executed and we are getting this output. So let's recap what all we did in this program. So you have to assume that if a user provides the input which is even, then the output will get printed. But in case if the user provides the input which is odd, then no output will be generated, because no instruction has been given over here in the program regarding what should happen if the condition is not met. So that's why if I put any odd number, let's say I'm putting 5 over here, you will see that nothing is getting printed out here. It's just please enter the number which is coming from this input function. And as 5, if I put 5 over here and get the remainder, then we are getting the remainder 1. This means that this is not an even number. That's why nothing is getting printed on the console. Okay, so let's take another example, very simple example, to use the if condition. Okay, so let's assume that you have three numbers and we have to check which is the largest number out of those three numbers using the if statement. Okay, so let's assume that you gave 12, then you gave 15, and you gave 23. Okay, if we have to check or and get which is the largest number, then you can see over here that 23 is the largest. And how had we compared it? We compared 12 with 15. So the first thing that we did was that 12 versus 15, and we are getting the output that 15 is the largest. Then we have taken this output and we compared it with 23. Okay, so let's take 15 versus 23, and we compare this and we get that 23 is the largest. So we can say that yes, 23 is the largest number, and we'll print this 23 as our output saying that 23 is the largest number. So this is what we have to do in a program where we take three numbers from user and compare it. So let's get input from the users. So I'll put input underscore number 1 equal to int input, please enter the first number. Okay, let me copy this and put it 3 times over here. Then we'll take the second input number and third input number, and over here we'll say please enter the second number and third number. Okay, now we have these three number. Let's print it out. Print input underscore number 1 comma number 2, comma number 3. So let's run this first. Okay, so that's an error because I have not given this statement in quotes. So let me put the quotes over here. Okay, now let's run it again. So Python is asking me to enter the first number, so let's put 12. Enter the second number, let's put 15. Enter the third number, let's put 23. Okay, and we are getting the output 12, 15, 23 as we had said over here. Now what do we need to do? We need to put a if condition to check whether the first out of these first and second number from here, which is the largest number. Okay, so I'll simply say if input number 1 is greater than input underscore number 2. Okay, then print input underscore number 1 is greater than comma input underscore number 2. So let's run this. We are not getting any output because the first number is 12, the second number is 15. Over here we are checking whether 12 is greater than 15 or not. So that is false. That's why we are not getting any output. Okay, so what we can do, we can simply say check if input number 2 is greater than input number 1, right? So we'll say if input number 2 is greater than input number 1, then print input number 2 is greater than input number 1. So now we are getting 15 is greater than 12, and that is what we were expecting as output, that 15 should be greater than 12, that we get in our output. Okay, now we have to compare this output that we are getting from here, this second if statement, we have to compare it with the third number, right? So we have to write our program in such a way that all the calculations are done and it will give us the output. Okay, so over here I'm going to add another condition, that is the AND condition. So we are saying that if input 1 is greater than input 2 and input number 1 is greater than input underscore number 3, then you have to print input 1 is the largest number. Okay, so I'm just gonna change this print statement is the largest number, and let me remove this. So what we are checking over here, if input 1 is greater than input 2, so number 1 which is 12 is greater than 15, then check if 12 is greater than 23 or not. If it is, then say that 12 is the largest number. If that is not the case, then I'm just gonna copy this part again and put it over here, saying that check if input number 2 is greater than input number 1, and if input number 2 is greater than input number 3, then simply print that input number 2 is the largest number. In this statement, what we are doing, we are taking 15 and comparing it with 12. So over here these two are getting compared, and if input number 2 which is 15 is greater than 12, then go and check whether 15 is also greater than 23 or not, and if it is, then print this statement, and if that is false, then we have to go to another if statement saying that check if input number 3 is greater than input number 1 and input number 3 is greater than input number 2. Okay, then we have to print input number 3 is the largest number. Okay, so let's run it. So we are getting 23 is the largest number. Okay, so if I basically put it like this, So over here 12 is getting compared with 15, and this is false. And we have a AND condition over here saying that check whether 12 is greater than 23, and this is also false. So that's why this print statement doesn't get executed. Okay, now coming to this part, this if statement, we are saying check 15 is greater than 12, so this is false. And check if 15 is greater than 23, this is also false. Sorry, this should be true. Apologies, this is my mistake. This should be true. So 15 is greater than 12, that is true. And we have an AND condition. And in our conditional statement, we know that if this statement and this statement, both statement are true only, then this print statement will get executed because we have used AND condition over here. So one spelling is mistake, false. So one of the condition is false and one of the condition is true, so it will always give you the false as a final output. Okay, now let's go to the third statement. Over here it's checking 23 is greater than 12, this is true. And it's checking 23 is greater than 15, so this is also true. And we have a AND condition over here, so if both of the conditions are true, then the final output would be true. That's why we have this print statement getting executed with this output saying that 23 is the largest number. So this is how basically you can use a simple if statement to check whether a condition is true or false, and based on the output of your condition you can execute the block of code. Happy learning and see you in the next video.